Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tashina.
I'm Portia.
And this is The Dark Side of Humans. So today we're going, if you're new to this channel, what we discuss is The Dark Side of Humans. We discuss our interesting true crime stories, anything we hear that we don't know about, that we want to learn more about.
Sometimes some ghosts.
Yeah, so we investigate it and then we share our knowledge that we've learned with you guys. So today we're going to be talking about Richard Speck. He is a mass murderer. So advisory is, we're going to be discussing rape, sodomized, murder, strangling, animal cruelty. So, and if you're under the age of 13, don't watch.
Hey, stop.
So, if you get interested.
4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, go.
If you're interested, just keep watching and let's get into the dark side of you. We're discussing Richard Speck. So Richard Speck was born December 6, 1941, the day before the Japanese bombed the Pearl Harbor, which started World War II. Richard and his family, they lived in the small town of Kirkwood, Illinois. Speck's father, Benjamin, was a potter. I don't know. It says a potter. What does a potter do? I don't know what a potter is. Make pots? That's all it said. Richard Speck's father was a potter. I don't know. Does he plant stuff? I don't know what a potter is. But he was a potter. And his mother was a stay-at-home wife. They had 8 children. And they had 5 girls and 2 boys. And Speck was the 7th child.
Her name Mary Margaret?
Mary Margaret. She was a stay-at-home mother.
Oh, Mary Margaret.
So,
that was AKA Cinderella.
No,
Snow White.
Mary Margaret? Oh, yeah. On Once Upon a Time. So, Speck's older sister would later describe Speck as, he was an ordinary child. She said he was little on the sickly side. She said that he was the apple of his father's eye. He followed his father around. You know, he was his little shadow. Helped him pot whatever he potted. I don't know what he potted. That's what he did. So, and also as a child, Richard Speck suffered a lot of head injuries. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about criminals, serial killers, or stuff like that, but a lot of times head injuries is a cause of why they act the way they act. It does something to they have brain damage. Yes. So he has suffered a lot. So the first
football players suffer.
Yeah. So first head injury that he's ever suffered, he was 5 years old. He's playing in the sandbox. He had a little hammer. He had a hammer, and he was using the claw side, and he was trying to take the nails.
Why do you have a hammer in the
sandbox? I don't know.
Sandbox?
And he was trying to take the nails out of the sandbox.
It was a real hammer?
A real hammer. And he slipped. It slipped, and boom, hit his head.
All I'm saying is parenting 101. Don't give your kids no hammers.
So he hit his head. He got unconscious. The second time, he was climbing a tree. He fell out the tree. His sister found him. He was unconscious. He was, she found him unconscious, twitching and foaming at the mouth.
His sisters babied him too.
Yeah, he found it foaming at the mouth. So the doctor said that they believe that incident caused brain damage. So in 1947, 1 year after the first little incident where he knocked himself in the head with the hammer, his father had died. And so the family, they were now living in Monmouth, Illinois. And, but something impelled the mom, like, I want to move to Texas. I want to go to Dallas. But she only took the 2 younger kids.
No, she got married.
Well, not yet.
She got married and moved.
But not yet.
I thought that's what she salesman.
No, she moved before she married him.
Oh.
So she met him in Dallas. So she moved to Dallas. For some reason, she only took the 2 younger kids. I don't know how old the other kids were, but she only took Speck and his younger sister. So they lived in Fair Park, a tough neighborhood on the east side of Dallas. They never had enough money, but Speck's mom did her best to pamper Speck. And the little sister followed her mom's lead. So later on, the neighbors would report that Speck and the mother would this baby Speck, and they will always ignore, forgive, and cover up whatever bad behaviors that he did. And he can do. A lot
of mamas that baby them boys.
He can do no wrong in their eyes.
Don't baby them boys.
So he was loving it. Of course, who wouldn't love it? That was the best time of his life. But it didn't last long because Speck's mother got remarried. She got married to an insurance salesman named Lindbergh. They didn't give me his first name.
Charles.
Just Lindbergh. They just called him Lindbergh. They said he drank too much. He disappeared often.
He was the total opposite of the dad.
Yeah,
the dad didn't drink or smoke.
Speck couldn't stand him. But that wasn't the reason why he really hated him. He hated him because he wasn't his dad. Yeah. Like, he loved his dad. Nobody was going to replace his dad. He just couldn't. He hated it. He didn't like it. So many expert believes that the remarriage, the mom remarrying sparked this attitude that he had towards women. And he felt that his mom betrayed his dad, abandoned him because she got remarried. So this part now in his mind,
always coming up with excuses.
He don't like women. He don't like women because his mama remarried. So that's when he started.
That's total BS.
Well, I mean, this is how he feels.
But in my mind.
But his mind, like him, that's what he feels.
In his mind, that's...
Because he feels, and he's young at this time. He feels, and he loved his dad, and he probably... And then now his mom and his sister's not paying no attention to him. So everything's changed for him. So he's blaming the stepdad. But as a teen, Speck started acting out. He was undisciplined. He was not smart. That's what everybody described. He was not smart. He was a loner, and he did not do well at all in school. And none of the students liked him. Like, if a student would sit by him in class, they would literally ask the teacher, like, can I move? They did not want to sit by him. One of his teachers remembered...
evil.
Maybe. One of the teachers remembered him as being lost. She said he always seemed like he didn't know what was going on. Like, he just had this look in his eye that he just didn't know what was going on. And she was never able to teach him anything. She's tried to teach him. He never comprehended anything that she was trying to teach him. So he dropped out of high school at the age of 16. He started drinking really heavy. And he started to get into a lot of fights. And he got into, getting a lot of fights. He got into it with the cops a lot. Because he would get in bar fights and everything like that. And the cops would stop him. The cops would hit him in the head with billy clubs. So he suffered more head injuries. From the fights, from dealing, he would starting to suffer more head injuries. He began to suffer really bad headaches that would plague him for the rest of his life. That actually caused him to drink more. When he had a headache, he would try to drink to get, to stop the headache. But,
the headache worse.
Right. But so he just started drinking more because of that. So at 16, Speck started carrying a knife, and he started becoming really obsessed with knives. When he was around people, he would always pull out his knife, trying to show out like he was just big bad. He would throw the knife on the ground. He would swish it on, open it, close it, just to show people he had a knife. One of his friends recalled one time a cat ran by. Speck picked the cat up by the tail and skinned the cat alive. Right then and there. In front of everybody. Just skinned the poor cat. Speck also, he started doing drugs. Not as bad as the alcohol, but he started experimenting with drugs. They call it yellow backs. Or something the pills were called. Some kind of pills they did in the 70s. Yellow hornets. I don't remember, but some yellow. And so they said it caused like hallucinations or whatever. Don't mind, these things are good. Caused hallucinations and stuff. But he didn't get really bad into it at that time. Let's see. When Speck was 18, him and his mama got into it and he beat his mama up. He felt bad about it. Because, believe it or not, he had rules. You don't beat your mama up and you don't beat up cripples. That was his rule. That's why he never beat up his stepdad, because his stepdad had a peg leg. He got in a car accident and he lost his leg. So
I didn't know this part.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So Speck wouldn't hit him because he had a peg leg. But when he drank, all those rules went out the window. He didn't care. And somebody, his friend described him too. When he didn't drink, he was quite nice and polite. But he was always drunk, so nobody really got to see that side of him. But so he beat up his mama.
Not funny that I beat up his mom.
But all that went out the window when Speck drank. So one day, him and his stepfather got into it, and he beat up his stepdad. People said when he drank, he would talk real dirty about women. He would also hit women. He used to beat women. He would call them tramps. He called them all cheaters, and they let men down. They're just no good. Women is just no good.
He was the captain of He-Man women.
Yes. So at age 19, he decided to get a tattoo. So he goes to the tattoo parlor. They have like hearts, flowers, little things. He was like, what I want. So he got on his arm, born to raise hell. That's what he got sprawled on his arm. So Speck, he couldn't keep a job. He was always getting fired because he's always drunk. So one day he got a job working for a meat company. He got fired because he ran the truck into the side of a building. So they fired him. So in 1962, Speck would be picked up. By 1962, he would be picked up by the police 36 times. But he wouldn't go to jail. He was just picked up 36 times.
All these times he would go to jail and all this, his mama would bail him out.
Yeah, like he was just trespassing. This for trespassing and burglary. So in 1962, Speck met a 15-year-old. Now, I don't know, how old is Speck? He was born in 1941. So in 1962, well, he was 18, 19. He's 19. So he's 19 years old, and he met a 15-year-old named Shirley Malone. And the couple, she was brunette, slender, pretty, brunette girl. So he married her, and they moved back with Speck's mom. Speck still couldn't keep a job. He worked for the park department, construction. He worked for a baker. He was a baker helper. He just couldn't keep a job. I'm guessing due to the drinking. Due to the drinking, he just couldn't keep a job. Mm-hmm. So the couple started fighting really bad all the time. They were just not happy.
Money always makes
something, yeah. So they were fighting. So July 2nd, 1963, the two of them had a daughter, Robbie Lee. But that didn't seem to mend anything. The couples, they still fought. And he suspected Shirley of cheating. So, and he said women that cheat are lower than dirt. So he's thinking she's cheated. So he's probably accusing her all the time, and she's like, I ain't cheating, but if you keep saying I'm gonna cheat, that's probably what the conversation was. But they just was fighting a lot. So
she was singing Keisha.
Yeah, she was singing. I should have cheated. So one day, one little incident, his workmate went to jail. So Speck went with his friend. I'm gonna call him his friend. His friend's wife to town to raise some bail money to get him out of jail. So I don't know what they did to raise the money, but they stopped to get a drink and they went back to the hotel, and the workmate's wife tried to have sex with Speck. That pissed Speck off. He called her a whore. You ain't no good. Stole $100 from her and left her in the hotel. So he just stole her money and left her. So whatever money she earned for the bail money, he stole it.
Said, fuck you and your nigga. I mean, your mate.
And your mate. And left her there. So Speck is still, so he can't keep a job, but he needs money. He needs to support his family. He needs to support his kids. So he's out. So he's writing bad checks. He's burglarizing. So one time he got caught, and he actually spent jail time this time. He actually got sentenced 3 years, but he only served 14 months for forgery and burglary. And when he got out, of course, he was convinced that his wife was cheating on him. He was just hell-bent that I don't know if she was cheating on him. I don't know. But he was hell-bent that she was cheating on him. So a week after he was free...
He insecure.
Yes, he was insecure. So Speck was only free for a week. He ran up on this girl named Sarah Wadsworth in her apartment parking lot and took out a 17-inch carving knife and put it up to her throat. I don't know what his plans was. Was he going to rob her? Was he going to kill her? I don't know what the plans were. She screamed. He got scared and he ran off. He was picked up right after that. So now his crimes are getting violent. Now he's starting to get violent. Before it was just he would burglarize, he would forgery. Now it's starting to get. He's starting to get.
Is this the one where he acted like he didn't remember?
Violent. I think so. I think he was trying to say.
He acted like he didn't remember.
He don't know if he was trying to burglarize her or something like that.
He got a lesser charge.
Yeah. So it didn't say how long he served. He served some time. I don't know because it said
they was trying to get him for attempted murder and attempted rape. But instead, they got him for aggravated assault.
So he went back to jail, and when he was released, he went back to Texas, and he tried to patch things up with his wife. She wanted nothing to do with it. She's like, I'm done. It's over. I don't want nothing to do with you. I had too much. It's over. So she filed for divorce January 1966. The year of 1966 was bad for Speck. He was jealous. He was angry. He was lonely. He was broke. This is when he got addicted to drugs. It really never explained what drugs he got. I'm pretty sure heroin, was big.
It said weed. It said marijuana. He had started with marijuana,
yeah, but
it
got some
led
hard
to other stuff.
As they say, he shot up. So I'm thinking heroin. Yeah, this is just our speculation. We don't know for sure because he
doesn't say exactly which.
So
drug.
don't quote us on it. We're just speculating.
I think heroin was popular.
It was in the 60s. So he would go to the show. He's drunk. He's high. Life is just in shambles. So he would go to the bars, flash his knife again, and start telling people that he's going to go get revenge on his wife, and he's going to go back and kill her. He's going to get revenge on his stepdad. Woe is me. The world is against me. Everybody's terrible.
Coulda, woulda.
That's what he would do. So, let me see. So Speck's divorce became final on March 16th. 2 days later, Shirley got remarried. Ooh. So maybe Shirley was cheating. I don't know. But Shirley got remarried 2 days.
No, because they were separated for a while. He was in jail.
That's true.
I'm not going to say Shirley was cheating.
I'm not going to say that.
I'm going to say...
There was no proof that Shirley was cheating.
I'm going to say that she was tired of Speck and she got her...
Because she got married 2 days after they got
divorced instead of a Speck.
So Speck's behavior got really bad. He was wanted for questioning in another burglary. So he was like, no, I'm not going to jail. I'm leaving. So he left.
He dipped out.
He left Dallas and he headed back to
Illinois.
Monmouth, Illinois. It's his child home. His brother still lived there. His brother was a carpenter. He hasn't seen his brother in 14 years. I really want to know why she left the other children, but
I think they were grown.
Maybe. So he ran into his brother again. His brother got him a job. He rented the room. He got a little room or whatever. So again, he's spending a lot of time in bars, venting again that he's going to kill his ex-wife. If it's the last thing he does, he's just, woe is me, he's going to kill his wife. She did him wrong. So Speck started paying attention to this bartender, they call them barmaid, Mary Pierce. But she was not interested in him. She was not interested in him, and she let him know, like, dude, I'm not into you. I'm not feeling you. I got a little spider on my light. I'm not into you. There's a little spider right there. I'm not into you. I'm not feeling you. I don't want nothing to do with you. So she vanished on April 9th. Her body was found 5 days later. She was killed by a hard kick in the stomach. How hard?
He knocked the wind out.
Do you have to kick? I'm pretty sure you cause intestine. Turn bleeding.
Because you can kick someone so hard, their intestines go in their ribs, and their rib will make them turn
because it's turning bleed. That's a hell of a kick. That's a hell of a kick
right there.
Kicked her in the stomach. Speck was at the bar that night when she went missing. So he was, a person of interest. But nothing ever panned out or whatever. So it's unsolved. I don't know if it's still unsolved because the information I got from this book was a while. So I'm not going to say it's still unsolved.
But at the time.
By that time, she was still unsolved. So a week later after Pierce's body was found, somebody broke into a 65-year-old woman's house, raped her at knife point, and the description that the woman gave matched Speck's to the T. Before that, the police had a chance to, talk to him. He fled. He went to Michigan. So he got a job at the Lake Superior. I think it's a boat.
It's a boat.
Yeah, because he was a
deckhand.
A deckhand, yeah. So a Lake Superior, but he got fired again because he picked a fight with one of the shipmates and he threw coffee in his face. So they kicked him off the boat on July 2nd in the Indiana harbor. The same day, 3 women vanished. They were never seen alive again. Their bodies were never found, but they found their clothes in their car. I mean, is it coincidence? Is he...
Ain't no coincidence. Speck was suspecting.
On July... So after that happened, on July, Speck resurfaced in Chicago, where his sister lived. So she, of course, the same, Speck's everything. She gave him money.
She knew he was lying, though.
And she helped him find a job. So they went to the Maritime Union hiring. Hold on. We'll be back in a second. It wasn't even my husband. But anyways.
She got in trouble?
No, it wasn't. I thought it was. I wouldn't have answered. Okay, so anyways. So where are we at? So okay, he went and he got fired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then he went back to Chicago. His sister gave him $25. So they went to the Maritime Union hiring. So for the next 3 days, Speck stayed at a flop house. I don't know. Is that a
it's like a
seedy hotel?
No, it's like a hostel.
Oh, okay. So it says flop house. Stay at a flop house. He tried to get on different vessels, ships to go that was heading to New Orleans. So on July 12th, Speck checked out of the seedy room. I guess it was a bad hotel, seedy.
It means like low budget.
Yeah, seedy. I don't know. Seedy room. He headed to Indiana because he was promised a job. So he hitched a ride with one of his boat mates, and when they got there, they gave the job to somebody else. So he was like, "You had me come all this way.
God don't like ugly.
You made me come all this way.
Do ugly stuff to people. That's why he don't prosper."
So Speck returned back to Chicago. He was depressed, frustrated, and he only had a few dollars in his pocket. Called his sister again, like, I need some money. I didn't get this job that I was offered. That promised me. I didn't get it. So he went back.
His sister came to his aid.
He went back to the hiring hall, and this time he got some good news. There would be a job in a few days. So he's feeling good. He checked back into another seedy hotel. I don't know why this. Checked back into another hotel. Went to the bar. He gambled. He won $12. Everything was just
$12 is probably like
everything was just
$1,000 back then.
not that much. $12 maybe $50.
They used to have burgers for a nickel.
Yeah, maybe $50. I don't know.
No,
but he was
$12 is probably
$1,000.
like $500.
I don't think.
Back then, yes,
I don't
it
know.
is.
I don't know.
I think the equivalent of $12 back then is probably like $500 right now.
But he was happy with $12.
This is $20 and he got a hotel room for weeks. Like, come on, man.
So he got good news, So he went back to his little seedy hotel. He copped him some drugs that he got for his $12. He shot up with an unidentified drug. And he headed. So he headed to the house on East Avenue, 100th Street. So let's talk about this house. This yellow brick house.
It's a brick.
It was on the East 100th Street block. It was right down the street from where his little hiring hall that he would go to try to get a job. So he might have scooped it out, noticed people going in. I don't know where. I don't know how this house came on his radar.
I think he's seen that
because it's right down. It's right by it. Yeah, because they never really said how it even came across. But so it was it's one of the 3 complexes that's in the South Chicago Community Hospital, and they lease it to nursing students.
I think you've seen one of them nurses.
Maybe, and foreign exchange nurses. 8 women all lived there, and they're all in their 20s. 5 of them were American senior nursing students, and 3 were graduated nurses from the Philippines. At that time, when he got to the house, only 6 nurses were home at that time. So Speck walks to the house on the East 100th Street. The kitchen was on the ground floor. So the kitchen was on the ground floor, and the window was open. So all he had to do was remove the screen and climb on in. So that's what he does. He removes the screen, he climbs in.
Wait. Let's rewind. Before he went to this house, he found out that his wife got married. He didn't know she got married. He found out later. And then he went and took his aggression out.
So he walks quietly through the dimly lit kitchen. So he goes to the staircase. He walks up to the 2nd floor. He goes up to the landing. He looks to his right, and there was an empty room. So directly in front of him was a door. It was closed. He tried to open it. It was locked. He knocked on the door 4 times. He aroused one of the nurses. Her name was Corazon Amerio. Say it again. I don't know. It's a Filipino name. I'm not good.
Amerio.
Yeah. So she, wakes up like, who's knocking on the door? She unlocks her bedroom door, and that's when Speck. So she opens it up. She doesn't even get a chance to fully open the door, and he pushed his way through the door. He has a gun and a knife. So he goes into the room and he finds there's another nurse, because they're in bunk beds. They share rooms. Marletta. It was in the room.
She gonna butcher names.
Yes, I'm not.
Names.
So Marletta, she was in the room. She wakes up. And there was other nurses there. Nina, Patricia, Valentina, Pamela. They were all in the other room. He led them all into the rear bed. So remember when he first came up and he seen that empty room to the right? So he led them all to that room. And he made them all sit on the floor. So of course they asked, like, what do you want? You know, and he says, I want money. I'm trying to get to New Orleans. So they see he has a knife and a gun. So he don't really even have to ask. They start handing him money. Like, here you go. Here's the money. You can take whatever you want. So after they give him the money, he takes his knife out, and he starts cutting the sheets into strips. And he starts tightly binding the women by their wrists and their ankles. At 11:20, Gloria Davy comes home from her date. So she walks up the stairs. As soon as she gets up the stairs, Speck grabs her, takes her into the room. So she's a good-looking brunette. Reminds him of his wife. So as soon as he gets in, his whole demeanor changes. There's one surviving victim. So she says his whole demeanor changed. He was actually there, so he might have just been there to get the money. But when Davey walks in, he's already high. He already, shot up with these drugs. Mm-hmm. Davey walks in, reminds him of his ex-wife. They said his demeanor completely changed. Like he started acting real different.
He seemed red.
Yeah. So after she arrives, Speck ties them up, and then the doorbell rings. So he takes Amarillo. What the heck? Corazon.
Just Amarillo.
I apologize for these names. And he takes them two downstairs so they can answer the door. He leaves Matiscut. I don't know the name, but he leaves one of the ladies there. Her hands are free.
I'm not helping her no more.
Her hands are free. She is not tied up. So he leaves her in the room with the other 5 women for several minutes.
Why didn't she untie the rest of the girls?
She did not untie the rest of the girls.
I'm not victim. We're not victim blaming. We just don't understand.
So she never untied them.
I would untie everybody. We would bum rush them.
They could have made a plan, but they let the opportunity pass.
Several minutes they were left, and she wasn't tied up.
Yeah, and nor did
none of them say, untie
They
me.
never talked about a plan or nothing. So nobody will understand why the women acted like that. It could be because there's fear, scared. Yeah. They could be like,
he did have a knife and a gun,
and there could be like, there's so many of us, there's no way.
I don't think the gun was loaded.
Yeah, but he was like, there's so many. They probably feel like there's so many of us. He's really gonna rape and kill all of us. Like,
yeah,
they probably felt. They probably felt, because at that time, like I said, it was unheard of that mass murder like that. There's never really heard of somebody coming in just killing like a whole bunch of people at one time.
No, that's not true.
In Chicago, at that time, in Chicago.
But
so, anyways, they didn't take that opportunity that was given to them at the time. So,
8 women, 8. 1 man, 1 gun, 1 knife,
and 8 women.
And I don't think the gun was loaded. He didn't use it.
So after they went downstairs, nobody was at the door. But it was later learned that it was a student that was knocking on the door. She wanted to borrow some bread. But they didn't answer the door fast enough, so she left. So she was actually lucky. She would probably been numbered. She probably
would have pulled her in the house.
She probably been number
9.
Number 9. So after that, Speck went back upstairs and tied up
the last of the women.
Yeah, the last of the women. And Speck sat in the middle of the women. They're on the floor. He's sitting in the middle of them, smoking a cigarette, playing with his knife and gun.
Just like scaring them.
Just playing with
torturing them.
Yeah, so he's just sitting there. He's asking them, oh, do you guys know karate? Like, and they were like, no, we don't know karate. But, he was just, I don't know. So he finally gets up, and at that, they believe that the women are probably like, oh,
all right, he's about
to take the money, he's about to go, and we're going to be good. So he went and he untied the strips of sheet from Pamela's ankles and led her out the bedroom door. It was about midnight, and that's when the killings began.
Yeah.
So Speck started leading the women one at a time out of the room. So all the women that was in the room, all they could hear is he walks them out. They hear slight muffles of scream, and the sink will turn on. So I guess he's washing
up his hands.
And then they would hear footsteps. He'll walk in, take another woman, and that's what he was doing. He was taking on one at a time. So at this time, there was only 5 women left. So one of them, Amarillo, she was like begging them, like, look, let's fight back. Let's resist. Let's fight back. She's trying to free her hands. She's trying to, like, let's do something. There's 5 of us. Let's do something. But the women, none of them. So they all decide, let's just crawl under the beds, you know. She was like, she wanted to get untied, and she was going to hit him in the head with the ladder that was on the bunk bed. But nobody wanted to help her. So they all crawl under the bed. It didn't fool him. So he came in, he sees him under the bed. So he pulls one of the women from under the bed, takes her out of the room. They hear a muffled scream, the sink running, footsteps of him returning back to the room. This time there's only 2 victims left. I can't say her name. He took her out the room when he was done. So he came back, and it was Davy, the one that looked like his wife. She was left. And Amarillo, she under the bed. She far under bed, just chilling under the bed.
He forgot how many nurses it was.
Yeah, it was so many. So he took Davy. She was the last one. So he raped her right there in the room. So Amarillo, seeing him, he makes her take her pants off. He raped her about 20 minutes. Then he takes her back. He takes her downstairs. That's where he kills her, downstairs. So I am not saying her name right, but she's under the bed. So she's sitting silent. She doesn't hear anything no more. She sat under that bed for hours. Just wasn't for sure if she should come out of the bed or what she should do, but she stayed in there for hours. So finally, it seemed like forever.
He came back to make sure and walked over all of the nurses and made sure they were dead. So he did additional stabbings, additional chokings to make sure everybody was dead. He didn't want to leave no witnesses behind, and he thought he committed the perfect crime.
Yeah. So she came from under the bed. She unties her arms. She crawls on the bunk bed, and she opens the window, like she breaks the screen, and she crawls out, and she screams, they're all dead. I'm the only one alive. So a neighbor was walking the dog, and hears her crying, so they flagged down the police. Hold on, my computer's tripping. So they flagged down the police. So the policeman came. His name is David Kelly. He's 25-year-old patrolman, and he's the first one to respond. So he goes to the front door. Of course, the front door is locked. He went around to the kitchen. It's unlocked because that's how Speck
got in.
No, that's how he leaves. Or he came through the window.
Oh, he came through the window.
But he left out of the kitchen door. So he walks into the front room and finds a body on the couch. The woman was naked. She was raped. She was sodomized with unknown objects. Her anus was mutilated. And she was strangled. That was Davy. That was the one that looked like his wife. And at that moment, the cop didn't recognize her. But when he found out who she was, he dated her in college. And his wife was knows all the nurses that were killed in that house. So he found the other victims upstairs, 3 in each bedroom, and 1 in the bathroom. Kelly then pulled Amarillo. What not her name. Her name's not Amarillo. But pulled her from the ledge.
It's not
Amarillo at all. I'm sorry. What is it? Amaro. It's Amaro. So pulled her from the ledge. It's not. But pulls her from the ledge. So he
I'm enjoying this.
He calms her down. He's like, calm down. What happened? What's going on? So she gave him a full description. He's tall, white man, blue eyes. He has a pokey face. That's how she described it. And he had a tattoo, born to raise hell. So he continues, after he got her off the ledge and calmed her down, he continued to walk around the house. That's when he found Pat. She had been thrown onto the bathroom floor, kicked in her stomach. Does that sound familiar? Kicked her in the stomach, but the kick did not kill her. So then he strangled her to death. Then they found Pamela. She had been stabbed in her chest and strangled with the sheet. Then they found Suzanne. She fought. This one said it seemed like she fought back. She had defensive wounds. She was stabbed 18 times.
And she was stabbed the most. Right?
Yeah, so and her underwears were all torn to shreds. Marianne has been stabbed through the heart and the neck and the eye.
He did these women.
And in the adjoining bedroom, there was 3 more victims. Nina was stabbed in the neck and strangled. Valentina she had 1 deep stab to the neck. Marletta was stabbed 4 times. Her body fell on top of Valentina, and then he strangled her with his bare hands. He was later found in a hotel room.
Where
he tried to commit suicide. He tried to.
It didn't work though. He cut his wrist.
Slit his wrist.
And slit his arm, and he was trying to bleed to death.
Yeah, so he was trying to bleed to death.
But
so
what is it called? The handyman.
Yeah, he came in
and found him, and then called the police.
So he went to jail. I mean, first, they took him to the hospital.
They trying to save this.
They trying to save
this nice man's life, and then they wipe the blood off, and they see the tattoo that's been all over the news, and they're like, "This is the murderer."
Yeah. So he had to go see the psychologist, and it took a while before he can go to trial because he had to see if he was suitable.
Because he kept trying to
kill himself.
He kept trying to kill himself, and I think he was just trying to get insanity.
Yeah,
he was trying to get some type of insanity.
So it took a while. So he finally went to court. It took them 6 hours or something. It wasn't long, and they gave him the death penalty. The only confession, he was still saying he wasn't the only one doing it. He said he had accomplishment.
An accomplishment.
Yeah, he had other people. Jesus. He had other people with him. But he had a live witness.
The girl said he
had a live witness. Like, she was alive for the whole thing. There was nobody else there. So the closest thing to confession that he ever said, he said, "Yeah, I killed him, I stabbed him, and I choked him. I'm sorry as hell for those girls and for their families and for me. If I can do it all over again, it would just be a simple house burglary." That's all he had to say.
Okay, now I get to talk mess. Okay, so this
guy, Speck.
I'm trying to this guy. So he was put on death row, right? But it was reversed to life without parole. So when he was on death row, he living it up. He living the good life. He got a cell to himself. They give him a job to go paint all the isolation cells. He using that to his advantage because he hiding fruit and stuff in the drain so he could make Pruno. If y'all don't know what that is, it's jailhouse liquor. So yeah, he's doing that so he can constantly make money and do schemes. So then finally they reversed it. They reversed him. They take him off death row and they put him back in regular population. Now he begins to get raped, beat, sodomized, all the whole 9. So he's like, he wants to be like a chameleon. He wants to conform to his surroundings so he can have the upper hand. So he starts taking hormone pills so he can grow breasts. So now he could be more feminine. He could be more, appealing to the man to where they're not brutally raping him. He's getting paid for his services now. This is why this I don't like him. Because I ain't gonna lie. When they first was just raping him and doing all that and he was crying, I was good with that. But when he started enjoying it, I'm not good with that. So, in prison, they have him on video with his breasts. Yeah. And his boyfriend.
Yeah. When I seen it, when I was looking at pictures from the research, I seen it. And I'm like, why does his boobies look like that?
Like, his boobies is bigger
I
than
didn't
mine.
read deeper into it. She read deeper into it.
I don't know where it was.
I was just like, maybe because he's old and he's getting fat. Because he was old at that time. He was older at that time. So I'm like, maybe...
And he did little schemes to get the hormone pills. Like, he did stuff to always have the upper hand.
Because he drank to the day he died. Mm-hmm. He died of, I think it was 50-something. He died of a heart attack or something.
A heart attack.
But
they tried to save him.
He drank to the day he died. So he was still drinking and all that stuff in there. So,
but yeah, he grew his hair out.
Yeah.
So he really took on this
I thought he was
prison wife role. Yes. And they have him on video saying, "Do you like having sex with men?" And he's saying, "Yeah," and all this. But he's never in his past showed any type of that he was in anything, none of that. So I know he just doing it just to get the upper hand.
I think he just adapts.
Crap.
daps and he uses what he needs to survive. I'm thinking.
Because he does. He was using. He switched it. He switched from being a victim to benefiting off of it.
Yeah.
But he's dead now.
Yeah, he died.
Him and his boobs.
He died. So I did my research from this book. If you guys want to learn more about him, just go to YouTube and type in Richard Speck, and there's documentaries, there's more information.
If you have any questions, leave a comment below. And
if anybody else you guys want us to research anybody, do any crimes you guys want us to research and do on here, we'd be happy to look into it. And so follow, subscribe, like, hit that notification bell so you guys know when I post. We post every Wednesday at 11. And hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
It was a nightmare.